We've been lucky enough to have a legacy of folk music that's been maintained by prolific performers such as Bill Monroe, Johnny Cash, Alan Lomax, and the Carter family. However, some of these people often get forgotten through time or nearly forgotten. One of the many musicians that this has happened to was Joe Thompson, the last of a generation of black fiddle players. Thompson was born in 1918 to a massive family of musicians in Orange County, North Carolina. Most importantly, his father, who had been taught traditional songs from his father before him and was able to pass them down to his family as like the last remnants of that musical culture. Thompson got his first violin at the age of 5, and it came with 2 strings, or it came with 0 strings actually. He got 2 strings, and he was able to manage to pull strings out of his house's wire door frame or door screen and just put those on his violin. Can't do that with bass strings though. Joe was able to diligently get started practicing and start playing publicly at local dances and corn shucking events. And he did this for quite a while until he got drafted for World War II. And when he came back, the interest in older string band music was waning. Other people were getting more interested in like rhythm and blues and jazz and like rock music as it was merging, and so Joe just kind of had to put his instrument on the back burner and go back to working as like a living. And while this was the state of Joe's life for many years, it didn't always stay like that. In the 1970s, Joe started playing again with his banjo playing cousin Odell Thompson, and eventually they got approached by a student at one of the local universities who was very interested in learning about folk music and got them started touring and performing again. And they even got a shot to play at Carnegie Hall. Shortly after that, though, Joe would lose Odell, and it was one of his last family members, or oldest family members at the very least. And that was a great blow to him personally, but it was also a great motivator for him to keep playing. He was inspired by many of the folk musicians he had inspired himself to keep playing and to keep recording for many years. Joe was able to have the rest of his life be filled with performing and continuing to play, like continuing his legacy and his father's legacy. However, Joe passed in 2012 at the age of 93 after having a really long career in music and being able to perform for many people. I think his legacy is very important to look at, and it's important to see the differences in string band music compared to just like old time or bluegrass. And I think after listening to a little bit of it, I kind of see the difference, and I'm nowhere near qualified to talk about banjo clawhammer and really distinguish how that works. I think you can hear it and sort of feel more of a different type of groove, and it's really cool that Joe and Odell was able to continue that legacy. One of the traditional songs that Joe performed was called "I Shall Not Be Moved." And this song he learned through a neighbor of his who was close enough to his house that he could hear him sing this song every day. And that's how he learned it, but this song has other roots as well. It's said to be a slave song that they sung in the fields. However, there's not really proof of that. It eventually got written down in the early 1900s, though, and it has origins from the Bible through these verses. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of the drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. Jeremiah 17:8-9. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Psalm 1, number 3. And it's been written through hymnals However, during the 1960s, the song became a symbol of protest for revolutionaries, and it became renamed as "We Shall Not Be Moved," um, in order to really symbolize how much that the African American people as a group have been oppressed in the 1960s and even through today. I believe the song has relevance, and it's even been translated into Swedish to for their protests against nuclear power. The song has been performed by many people as early as 1929, from blind Roosevelt Graves through different people like Johnny Cash and Mavis Staples and Joan Baez, and it's still being performed today as recently as 2012. There's been recordings, and there will be more soon from my own. I think this is a really inspiring song and powerful song. Even for someone who's not religious, I could still feel the weight that this song holds and how much it can represent. And hearing it through Joe Thompson, you could really hear the weight of the song. It's very bare bones and very solemn, as compared to one of the the oldest one, Blind Roosevelt Graves. It's very jaunty and more light, and I like the power that Joe was able to give to it. I really liked learning about Joe Thompson and his effect on music, the legacy he's been able to carry on, and listen to songs I would have never heard without his existence at all. And I really liked learning about the traditional string band and the different sound that it has compared to different bluegrass and old time music, and it's just a new thing to latch onto and remember. Well, anyway, I thank you very much for listening to this rant about traditional folk music, and I hope I can rant about traditional folk music another time. Have a great day.